Welcome to Creation versus Evolution, Topic 8, the limiting age factor. In the last two topics, I talked about some of the laws of science that defy the theory of evolution, as well as the different meanings of microevolution and macroevolution. Microevolution being a loss of genetic information, while macroevolution being an addition to genetic information. I've got a couple of cartoons I would like to show you today. The first one is my scientist, my mad scientist here. And in his mind, he's thinking, if I can just create life in this test tube, I can prove that no intelligence was necessary to create life. And the second one, when we talked about the laws of science that do not fit the theory of evolution, what do evolutionists do with these laws of science? Well, the time scale keeps changing. When I was a child, supposedly the Earth was a lot younger, the universe a lot younger. But the more science finds out that evolution is impossible, the more time is attached to the theory of evolution. Because if you add enough time to it, then what seems to be impossible becomes probable. And what evolutionists do with these discrepancies of law is they sweep them under the carpet of time. Time, in other words, is their hero. But is time really a hero for evolutionists? Today's topic, the limiting age factor, we're going to take a look at that. Okay, the formation of the Earth, we've discussed, does not fit into operational science. It is something from the past and cannot be repeated in a laboratory. So scientists have to make assumptions. The old Earth thinkers interpret things in a very different way than the young Earth thinkers do. So they come up with two completely different conclusions. But is it possible to eliminate one of the two views by actually using scientific data? And the answer is yes, it is. No, we can't prove the age of the Earth through these observations, but we can limit its age through them. Here's an illustration that I would like to give about the limiting age factor. And I'm going to use the sunken ship illustration. It's not mine, it was someone else's. But picture yourself. You discover a ship on the bottom of the ocean. In that ship, there is a locked room. In that locked room, there's a locked treasure chest. You open that treasure chest and you find a whole lot of coins that are dated around the year 1000. But you find one coin that is dated at the year 1780. Does that limit the age of the sinking of that ship? Absolutely. It doesn't matter how many coins you find dated around the year 1000, they did not mint 1780 coins in the year 1000. That ship, in other words, had to be floating on the top of the surface in the year 1780 to have that coin inside of that treasure chest. That is called the limiting age factor. Okay, is there any evidence about the creation of our Earth that makes it where it cannot be older than a certain amount of time? Because if there is, then that limits the age of the Earth. And there is. I want to go through a list of those today. First of all, galaxies are winding themselves up too fast. If our galaxy were more than a few 100 million years old, it would be a featureless disk of stars instead of its present spiral shape. In other words, those billions of years evolutionists believe in have now been cut down into a few 100 million years. Next, the Earth's rotation is slowing down. The Earth is currently spinning at a speed of 1046.6 miles per hour at the equator. But every 10 months, the scientific community sets the atomic clock back 1 second because the Earth is slowing down. If the Earth is slowing down, that means it used to be going faster. Even 70 million years ago, which is far less than what is required for the theory of evolution to be true, the Earth would have been spinning so fast it would have been unable to sustain life. And I've got a couple of cartoons here I'd like to show you. The Earth spinning. Supposedly dinosaurs lived on the Earth 64 million years ago. So here is poor Dino and his buddy on Earth spinning so fast, they're having trouble hanging on. And here's an up-close picture of poor Dino begging for help. Okay, number 3, there's not enough salt in the seas. The current level of the salt in the oceans would have accumulated in less than 42 million years, far less than is required for evolution to be true. So our billions of years have now gone down to 42 million years. Number 4, continents would have flattened by erosion. With the current rate of the erosion of the continents, all land would be reduced to sea level in merely 14 million years. If the uplift and erosion on our Earth had been continuing for even 2 to 3 times that, all of our sedimentary rock would be gone by now. The 5th, there's not enough mud on the seafloor. 20 billion tons of dirt and rock are deposited in the ocean each year. This material accumulates as loose sediment on the hard lava-formed rock of the ocean floors, with an average depth of all ocean sediment being less than 400 meters, and allowing for the sediment that is removed by the sliding of the ocean floors beneath the continents. All the sediment currently on the ocean floor would have accumulated in less than 12 million years, far less than the theory of evolution allows. The 6th, and I'm going to call them coins, the 6th coin found, the moon is moving away from the Earth at about 1.5 inches per year. Since the moon affects our ocean tides, the closer it is to us, the greater the force of gravity. Only a few million years ago, the moon would have been close enough to cause the tides to drown the entire surface of the Earth, poor Dino included, twice a day, and you can only drown once. Okay, the 7th coin. Earth's magnetic field is decaying too fast. Life would have been impossible had the Earth's magnetic field decayed along its present trend for over 20,000 years. The 8th coin. Underground oil deposits are under too much pressure. Geologists believe that there are 2,000 pounds of oil pressure per square inch. So there's 200 pounds of oil pressure per square inch beneath our planet's surface. At a pressure this great, our planet's crust should have split. Our Earth should have split within 10 to 15,000 years of its beginning. The 9th coin. Biological material decays too fast. DNA experts insist that DNA cannot last in its natural environment longer than 10,000 years. Yet intact strands of DNA appear to have been recovered from fossils allegedly much older. Neanderthal bones, insects in amber, and even dinosaur fossils. Bacteria, allegedly 250 million years old, have been found with DNA in it with no damage. Soft tissue and blood cells from dinosaurs have astounded experts. Okay, the 10th coin. Comets disintegrate too quickly. According to evolutionary theory, comets are supposed to be the same age as the solar system, about 5 billion years old. Yet each time a comet orbits close to the sun, it loses so much of its material that it could not have survived near that long. Many comets typically age less than 10,000 years, which fits perfectly into the biblical story of creation. The 11th coin. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune are all cooling off. If these planets are 4.5 billion years old, as evolution teaches, they should have cooled off long ago. Their current temperature fits perfectly into a few thousand years, the same as the story of creation. The 12th coin, too few supernova remnants. Supernovas, or violently exploding stars, cause remnants of dust and gas to expand outwardly rapidly. In the nearby parts of our galaxy, where we can observe the remnants from the explosions, we find evidence for only about 200 supernovas. This number is consistent with only about 7,000 years worth of supernovas. So we've gone from billions down to about 7,000. The 13th coin, too much helium in minerals. Newly measured rates of helium loss from zircon crystals show that they've been leaking for approximately 6,000 years. The 14th coin, too little moon dust. With no rain, wind, or water on the moon, the dust that falls on the moon's surface stays right there. That's why much time was spent concocting the landing pedals, the huge feet of the first craft that landed on the moon. When it landed, they discovered that there was only about an inch of dust. They expected, because they believed the Earth to be, or the moon, the universe to be, these billions of years, they expected about 150 feet worth of this dust, and yet it was less than an inch. The 15th coin, there's too much carbon in the deep strata of the Earth. No carbon, 14 atoms, should exist in any carbon older than about 250,000 years. Yet it is impossible to find any natural source of carbon below Ice Age strata that does not contain significant amounts of carbon-14. Recent discoveries give further evidence that the Earth is only thousands, not billions, of years old. So each one of these 15 different coins limit the age of the Earth from what evolutionists believe down to what would fit absolutely perfect with the story of creation. Thank you for joining me today.